Dance Your Heart on Fire podcast, episode number 19.
Quattro, the group Quattro, was actually formed during the first Mo Base because, Nelson Freitas, well, he's my nephew.
He's your nephew?
Yes, he's my nephew.
I did not know that at all.
He's my nephew, and like I said, it's a small community. And,
Welcome to the Dance Your Heart on Fire podcast, the podcast dedicated to inspiring dancers worldwide whose hearts have been touched by music and dance. The universal language of dance and music is spoken by many of us throughout the world. We want to motivate the dancer in you by sharing stories, insights, and ideas to enhance your journey. Join us now with your host, Charles Ogar.
Hello, everyone. This is Charles with the Dance Your Heart on Fire podcast, and today we have a very, very, very special guest with us on the line today. We have none other than Johnny Ramos here on the line. If you guys have been around the kizomba world for a minute and you've been jamming out some really nice songs, Johnny Ramos has been around for a really long time in the kizomba scene. Some people call him the father of ghetto zouk. We will talk to him about that and see what he thinks about that particular title. But Johnny Ramos, good morning. Thanks for being here with us.
Well, good morning to you, and thanks for having me.
Yes, definitely. We're a big fan of yours here in the States. So kizomba starting to grow more and more here in the States, and I'm an instructor here in the States. And so obviously you start to see more and more names with the songs. You hear about the history and things like that. And so there's a lot of hearsay about ghetto zouk and Quattro Plus and all that kind of stuff. So we're just kind of hoping you can kind of share your pieces of the puzzle to this big kizomba puzzle that's out there, and kind of let us know how things happen, what it is now, and kind of like what your visions are towards the future. Yeah. So for the people who don't know who you are, can you go ahead and give a little introduction about yourself and what you've done with kizomba?
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, where do we start? Well, my name is Johnny Ramos or whatever however you pronounce it in English. But yeah, I started with kizomba when it wasn't called kizomba, actually. Because back in the days when I started, it was, I guess it was called like, also you always have those issues what to call the new kind of music, you know. It was derived from zouk love, so we called it Cabo love because
we've heard that.
Yeah, from Cabo Verde. But that was when I started. And when I started, and then I'm talking about 97, because 96 actually, because that's when I released. I participated on Milena Tavares, her album, her debut album. We did a duet, Ilusão, and it was a success. And the year after that, together with a colleague of mine, Sebastião dos Santos, we did a project called Mo Base.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't only sing, I also produce. So we teamed up. And we wrote a couple of songs, produced a couple of songs with the idea of inviting other artists, you know, to sing on our songs. It turned out that I as a singer, I sang more than just one song on that Mo Base album because some of the artists, they weren't able to do it, or they didn't want to do it. They didn't really, they didn't really feel it. So, and I felt that. I thought, okay, let me just sing a couple of more than a couple more songs. And then, that's the Mo Base part, and well, that was actually even a real door opener for me, because it took me to places like Angola for the first time, Mozambique, the States actually. Well, not long after that, because well, the scene, the music scene in Rotterdam, especially that time, was very vivid and very small. You know, it's not, there's not too many Cape Verdeans here. It's a small community. Well, in Europe it's still a big one after Portugal, but still, it's a small world, and so they noticed me. And when I say they, I mean Splash. And it just so happens that Milena wanted to quit Splash, and they invited me to take her place. So I entered Splash, and that was more or less around the same time more or less around the same time that I had success with Mobase.
Okay, so I have these puzzle pieces in my head. I've heard of Milena Tavares. I've heard of Ula and Splash and the Cape Verdean Caribbean. So you kind of provided a lot of things, how they're kind of interwoven with each other. So just for our listeners, we're going to kind of pull it back just a little bit and just let people know where you were born, where you were raised, and then we're going to start piecing these puzzles together. But I really like the information that you're dropping right now. So we're just going to kind of like walk people down the timeline a little bit. So let's go ahead and let people know where you're born and raised.
Cool. Well, I was born and raised here in Holland, in Rotterdam. I'm a son of immigrants, you know, and, well, as many Cape Verdeans are.
Definitely.
And so I was born and raised here. So I was born and raised with two cultures, actually, the Dutch or Western European culture, and of course the Cape Verdean culture, and so I grew up also listening to not only back in when I was a kid. Well, it was Cape Verde show. That was that was like the band and a few others. Of course, not shortly after Kassav, you know.
Yes.
And so I was influenced by that type of music, but also with what I would hear on the radio, the Dutch radio, and that was pretty much actually everything that came from the US or UK, you know. You know, pop music from the 80s.
Yeah, for sure. Michael Jackson.
Well, of course, Michael Jackson, but also Phil Collins.
Okay.
You know, Culture Club.
Okay. Yeah, I hear you for sure.
Yeah, but then as I got older, you know, you start buying your own records and stuff. I was mesmerized by hip hop, actually. You know, when hip hop came in the 80s, it was like, wow. When I first saw someone in my street do the moonwalk, I was like, what? I was like, what? You know? And so actually I was very much into hip hop back in the days. You know, Cool J, Eric B. and Rakim, Public Enemy. I'm talking really old school.
Yeah, for sure. I hear you.
And so I was influenced by that. But then also came the New Jack Swing, Guy, Ted Riley, you know, Bobby Brown. Joe Desi later on.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I was, and well, I always say they have this saying, you are what you eat, but it's also like when you're a producer or you do music, you also are what you listen to. So
I hear you. No, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome to hear. So obviously, we know people listening to what you categorize as ghetto zouk now definitely having R&B / hip hop flavor. So hearing you say Jodeci and Bobby Brown and hip hop and Public Enemy and all these guys, it makes a lot of sense of like how that inspired you to mix with what you said before, with those two cultures as you were growing up in Holland, you know? So how did singing become a part of it? When did you start singing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good question. Because as I was into hip hop, actually, I used to rap first.
Okay.
You know, I used to write my rhymes. Well, first I would copy the rhymes.
Yeah, for
then
sure.
Then I would put a little, with every rhyme I wrote, it would be a little bit more of me and less of, well, the copied stuff. You know,
For sure.
Write it down. And but it was a very short career, but because I only performed once, I think. No, not really once. Okay, yeah, I could. The others I don't consider. So once as a rapper. But, no, it was actually the singing began when my interest went more towards the, well, I don't know if it was called New Jack Swing in the States, but here it was called New Jack Swing. You know, that sound from Ted Riley and all that. So and when I heard that, I was like, yeah, I fell in love straight away, you know, with that type of music. So I wanted to do that. So what I teamed up with my brother, a friend, some neighborhood friends. Oh yeah, I forgot. I was also very much into dancing. There were these dancing contests. So,
hip hop dancing.
Yeah, hip hop dancing, that kind of, you know, but nothing special. But at the time, it was fun. And so we used to dance, but because those friends of mine had also like more of a hip hop background. Well, they were more active as rappers, and also one of my friends, Mario. He was already very into producing. You know, he had his drum machine, the sampler, and all that kind of stuff. I was also intrigued by that, and so it came to a point we thought, nah, okay, we can do more than just dance. Let's sing. And well, it wasn't a success. It wasn't a success right away.
I hear you.
I mean, because we were so much into that dancing. So in when we started writing our songs and performing, we would in our shows we would still have a lot of dancing. And when you're not that experience with dance, singing, and you do a lot of dancing, that's not a good combination, you know. But okay, you know, it was a start. It was fun. We even did a mini tour in Cabo Verde.
Okay.
With non kizomba songs. It was like New Jack Swing, actually.
Interesting. Interesting.
The name of that group is called The Right Track.
The Right Track. Okay.
Yes, back in the days, but you know. Okay, I'm getting lost here.
No, it's okay. So we're just talking about how you first got into singing. So that's good. How you guys got the group together, you formed the Right Track, and you did a little tour and things like that, right?
Yes, and also we took some singing classes. The other ones weren't too much into that, but I saw, okay, this is nice, and I pursued the same practice, and that's where actually I discovered, okay, my singing teacher, actually an American guy who lived in, he said, I have talent, you know. He had a good musical ear.
Definitely.
So and I also discovered that actually, because when we were in that group, the Right Track, we would like practice the harmonies from Boyz II Men or other groups.
I grew up listening to Boyz II Men, so that's awesome.
And I would be very stubborn when it came to stubborn. I know. I knew I was right. We would have these discussions. No, you have to go like this and this and this. No, I can hear it. You have to do la da da da, and I do this. And, you know those close harmony moments. You know, I was the youngest, and I was actually a shy guy. But when it came to that, I was like, nah, I know I'm right, you know? So it was around that time that I discovered singing, and then I had kind of a talent for it.
Okay, that's awesome. So you did have some experience before you jumped into what we consider the kizomba realm, you know? So
Yes.
just to shed a little bit about, so you had all this hip hop influence, hip hop inspiration, the R&B, Boys to Men, Jodeci, Bobby Brown, Ted Riley. So how did that intertwine with your Cape Verdean roots? Did your parents have like Pasada and all the other kind of music growing up at the same time that all of this was happening in Holland?
Yes, that plus one of my brothers was a DJ
Okay.
at Cape Verdean parties. So he would practice a lot at home. And so I would hear all those songs passing by daily.
Definitely.
You know, and also a different kind of song. He wouldn't play only zouk or Cape Verdean songs, but also, you know, I don't know. Back in the days was really like soul. I mean, Freddie Jackson soul. You know? But so I was always influenced by a lot of styles, a lot of genres. You know?
No, that's awesome because you always have that fusion of inspiration, which comes down to fusion of cultures, you know, and fusion of music, and you kind of, it gives birth to something else, you know? Okay, so let's go and talk about Milena Tavares. You said that was your first track that kind of was a success. Can you tell us a little bit about that track?
Yeah, well, she was working on her debut album. I was already starting producing with my Moby's colleague, Sebastian, or Sebastian in English. And we also actually like co-produced or a few songs for The Real Vibe. I don't know if you heard of them. It was like one of the first Criollo rap groups who mix rap with kizomba beats, you know?
Okay.
So that's how we got it. They knew about us. We were producing, so we just wrote a song for her. And
so Mo Bass came before the track with Milena Tavares?
Well, that was Ilusão, and in Mo Bass I did another duet with her. That is Dá Mais Chance.
Yes,
Yeah, and so we did actually two duets, and both successful, but Dá Mais Chance even more successful than Ilusão, I guess. You know?
Yes, the crowd always like those are like hits when you play those at the Kizomba socials for sure.
Okay.
So you had Dá Mais Chance and Elisao for those two tracks with Milena Tavares, and you said that you also those are both duets.
Yes.
Awesome. And then how many tracks did you produce? Mo Bass, was that a group or was it just an album or a project or?
Now, Mo Bass, you can consider it as a project, and it's the project of a producers duo, which I'm, and you know, just with just inviting a bunch of singers to sing on our tracks. That's basically Mo Bass, you know.
And that project included the duet with Milena Tavares.
Exactly.
Okay. And Milena Tavares also happened to be a group or a part of the group Splash.
She used to be a band member of Splash. Yes.
Okay. I was interviewing DJ Lefty, who's also a Cape Verdean DJ, and he was telling me about some of the Cape Verdean groups, and Splash was one of those, and he told me about that one song called Ula. And I just played that at one of the Kizomba socials that we had here in Charlotte, North Carolina this past weekend. And a lot of people like that song a lot. But now it's starting to make more sense of the history behind that. Were there any other Cape Verdean groups that you collaborated with in that Mo Bass project or any other singers?
The Mo Bass project, actually, we did only two. Well, Well, when I was part of it, we only did 2 albums. The Mobase Presents and Mobase 2001. And but from Mobase, Quattro, the group Quattro was actually formed while during the first Mobase because, well, Nelson Freitas. Well, he's my nephew.
He's your nephew.
Yes, he's my nephew.
I did not know that at all.
He's my nephew, and like I said, it's a small community. And back in the days, where it's like more electronic music concerned from Cabo Verde, we were like we were dominating for a lot of years. You know, from us from Holland. You know, there are a lot of Cape Verdean artists: Gilles, Susana, Liberty, Nelson, Quattro, Dias, you name it. You know, so a lot of success came from here. But okay, so they were. We had a song for someone. I don't remember the artist, but he declined. So there was an opening. We wanted just one more song for the Mobase, and Nelson they were busy, you know, with his group, and he said, hey, give us a chance and let us do our song, produce a song for us. We have this idea, this and that, blah blah blah. So we took that. The idea was that sample from what Tupac used, right? The da 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 bum 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 da 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 da.
Yeah, definitely. I know that beat. I don't remember the name of the song, but I'll find it.
Yeah, okay. But so they wanted to do something with that sample as well. But then in the kizomba. And they needed a name. Well, there were 4 of them, and it was that easy. Quattro was born, and from that Mobase project, then they wanted more. So me and Sebastian, we also produced their first album, the first album of, and yeah. So in ways of collaboration, well, I always was like in the beginning of Quattro, I was producing them or co-producing them, vocal direction, the backing vocals I would also provide together with them. But what else? Yeah, so that's one of another collaboration that I was. How can I say? I was very
that you're involved with. No, that's really awesome. So this is making like a lot more sense now that how Mobase was a project, and that makes sense that only is only a couple of songs that you're involved with, and then how that led to Quattro Plus. Who were the members of Quattro Plus?
Well, originally it was Nelson Freitas. Adelson dos Santos, also known as Tootstar. Maybe you know that name. That's the producer's name. Eddie Parker. No, originally he wasn't there yet. Nilton Ramalho and Nelson Oliveira. Eddie Parker came later, and then it became Quattro Plus.
And okay, is this at all linked to the Just J record label?
Miss Jane,
yes.
Just J, that's me. Also, that's my producer's name.
I got you.
And also my label, actually. So, and Miss Jane was actually 3 members of Quattro plus me. And we formed the label, and that was Nelson, Adelson, Eddie Parker, and me. Okay,
so you were the Johnny, Adelson, Nelson was the N, and Eddie Parker was the E.
Yes, Eddie Parker was the E.
And you said it was exactly. You said it was Miss Jane. Why Miss Jane?
Yeah. Well, we just put the Miss in front of it to make it more sexy.
Okay.
It sounded sexy, but later we learned that Miss Jane is also like a weed or something.
Mary Jane.
Or Mary. Oh, that's Mary Jane. Okay,
Yeah.
But all the same. So, but no, but it's just only the Jane. I don't know. We thought let's put Miss in front of it.
Okay. I mean, it's really cool because you hear these things and you hear them in the song, Miss Jane, and like, okay, I don't know what this means exactly. So it's awesome to have you on the interview to kind of like see like what was the source of inspiration for that, Let's take a quick moment to thank our sponsors. Have you been looking to level up your kizomba, but you don't have the local instructors to take you there? Are you looking for something concrete to practice with your kizomba partner? Or are you looking for kizomba lessons that you can take on your schedule and the comfort of your home? If you answered yes to any of these questions, look no further. LearnToKiz.com is what you need. Progressive, step-by-step lessons that you can take at your pace in the comfort of your home or anywhere with a solid internet connection on your PC, Mac, or any smartphone. New videos are added every month. You can try this awesome resource out 30 days free at LearnToKiz.com/podcast. After the 30 days free is only a low $15 per month. But again, the special offer for the Dance Your Heart on Fire listeners, 30 days free at LearnToKiz.com/podcast. You won't find this offer anywhere else. LearnToKiz.com/podcast. And now back to our show. So I remember the first time that I reached out to you and I asked you where the Ghetto Zouk name came from and like who started using it first and things like that. And you told me that the first song to officially use that was Largal. Yes?
Yes.
So how did that song come about? Was that your creation? Was that Mobass? Was it Quattro Plus? How did that song happen? And how did that compare to, or when did it happen in this timeline that we've been talking about so far?
Okay. Well, Ghetto Zouk, the genre in itself, and the name, actually, Ghetto Zouk, in retrospective, I think Ghetto Zouk even started during Mobass. But I didn't know that at the time.
Exactly.
Because you could. That's the way I see it, anyways. Because with Mobass, we came with a different sound. We started different, using that hip hop influence already a little bit, but only later it became only stronger actually. And Ghetto Zouk, the name, it was used in Largal, because why Ghetto Zouk? Let me explain that first. Well, we had the feeling that the Zouk that the Zouk, not kizomba at the time, but the Zouk that we did was different, and instead of you didn't only have to you didn't necessarily need to dance with it with a partner. You could also bob your head to it, like with hip hop, and it had that ghetto to us it had like a more like that grind, that ghetto, and actually also ghetto was like, I think back in the days it was a lot of ghetto this, ghetto booty, ghetto this, ghetto what. So and it felt like a good name. It just I don't even really recall if we sat down. I don't think we didn't sit down. Okay, we have to come up with a name for this genre. Well, that's the way I recall. Anyway, maybe one of the guys will say it in a different way. But I think you're just in the vibe. You're recording and things come out and that frame
definitely.
I think it was more like that, and it stuck, So Ghetto Zouk, this sounds cool actually. It's a cool name, and it for us it defines a certain type of Zouk. But that doesn't mean that my music is only Ghetto Zouk. And the funny thing is actually with certain songs, people come to me, hey, I really like that ghetto zouk song of yours, Boa Morte Completam, for instance. And but for me, that's not ghetto zouk because it's way too romantic to be ghetto zouk. But I guess when you put it out there, it people will use it the way they see it.
Exactly,
and
for sure,
out of your control, out of your control.
It's interesting. I really like that you kind of said like everything that you produce isn't ghetto zouk, even though you are one of the primary founders, I guess, if you will, of ghetto zouk. So it'll be interesting to hear your thoughts. What makes a song ghetto zouk and what makes a song kizomba? Because people dance kizomba to ghetto zouk, but like you said before, ghetto zouk was created not necessarily just to dance to it, but also just to bob your head to it and listen to it. So how did kizomba and like ghetto zouk become, I know it's confusing. How do you kind of distinguish between those two?
Well, the way I see it, kizomba is also a very complicated.
Yes, definitely.
Complicated history because it depends on where you were born, I guess, and where you're from.
Where and when.
That will define the way you see it. Because kizomba, the word kizomba means party, and it's an Angolan word, a native Angolan word, one of the dialects.
Yeah, Kimbundu.
Kimbundu, exactly. And so that's the word. And the style kizomba back in the days was more like what Eduardo Paim did, back in the days. I guess, but that's then. Because now I consider I'm not even gonna bother to go between the stages because
it's tough.
I'm not qualified to do that, I guess. But the way I see it now, kizomba, the word kizomba is a very beautiful commercial word phrase to that can describe a whole lot of songs.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't mind if you say, okay, you have kizomba as like the mother word, and in kizomba there is like ghetto zouk, there's zouk, there's this, there's that. I don't. Well, some people will want to start a war with
for sure. But it's kind of like an umbrella term.
Yes. Well, I think it's a cool. It's even a cool thing. It's even a good thing for people that are outside of kizomba are interested in. I think it's an easy way to sell it. Actually,
yes.
It's a commercial way because in Portugal, for instance, kizomba is now. Yeah, it's not for everyone, but it's on mainstream radio. Anselmo Ralph, Nelson Freitas, even though Anselmo Ralph doesn't consider himself a kizomba artist, actually, he isn't, but he also is because his biggest success came from kizomba.
Exactly. It's interesting.
But what else? So yeah, that's the way I see it. The kizomba is like the umbrella word for that whole culture, that whole Afro Palops culture.
No, that's awesome thing. That's awesome. So I really appreciate you sharing your pieces of the puzzle and the history of ghetto zouk and how you saw it at the time back in the day, and now how you kind of take a look at it now. Let's talk a little bit about your new EP. When did you release that? How's that going? Let us know. Is this the segue to a new album coming out?
Yes. Okay, when did I release it? I released my EP, Corpo e Alma, meaning body and soul. So let me check. I released it on not last Saturday, but the Saturday before that. So on the 15th of August. That's
awesome.
it. Yes, and how is it going? Well, I think for someone like me who, if I compare myself to my some of my colleagues that are way ahead of me at the social media in the social media area with more followers and that kind of stuff like on Facebook, Instagram, and whatnot. Considering that, I think I'm doing okay. Let me give you an actual update.
Okay, for sure.
Let me check my YouTube. Because
and for our listeners, I'm going to have his YouTube channel in the show notes, so that way if you want to support Johnny, you can definitely go and purchase the EP and definitely follow him on YouTube and Instagram and all that good stuff.
Yes, exactly. So you can, so they can be constantly updated about my upcoming album actually. And yes, the EP is it's like a sort of a mini album, and it's like what's to come at the album. It's what you get at the EP is more or less what you're gonna get in my from a new album. So let's okay. I wanted to have a look right on my EP. Just a sec.
No problem.
Okay, so alongside To Yale that I released as a single and also as a video, I also put 4 new songs, and Tabon, the featuring with Gita Fing and DJ Palios Jr. is like now at 70,250 views.
Awesome.
In 1 week and a half, so I don't think that's bad.
Not at all.
The other one is like Volta Dam, also featuring with Nana Almeida, is almost at 10,000. And the other 2 are like around 6, almost going to 7,000. So that's good. And let me see, in the video, since I released it, where is my video at? It's almost at 150K. So
nice. Good stats for sure. So what was your vision with this new album? How long has it been since you came out with the album, and what inspired you to come out with something now in 2016?
Well, actually, the last time I released an album was in 2011. There was a best of. So a lot of oldies and plus 4 new ones at the time. And actually, what inspired me, it's my job, so I have to. It's my job and my passion, so you have to. And nowadays you have to actually bring out something new very fast. And so from 2011 to 2016 that's not very fast at all. So I really had to. It
was time. You're overdue.
I'm overdue. I wanted to release an album earlier, but as you make plans, life happens. So that's some private things that happened that unfortunately caused a delay. But now this year I think I'm doing pretty good. Released the single, now the EP. It will give me a little bit more time to work, continue with the album. But and at the same time, I won't have like 5 songs playing for the audience.
Yeah, definitely. All
for
right.
the DJs and for all the lovers.
Yes. It's awesome. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking time to come and sit and talk with me, for the listeners, for the podcast, just to kind of share your history. It's kind of, I'm not sure if you know, like how, your music is kind of listened to worldwide, and so I fell in love with kizomba a long time ago, and I've seen your name pop up over and over and over and over again. And I have this podcast. I say, hey, it'd be cool to interview this guy. So I just kind of shot you a message on Facebook out of the blue, and I was glad that you responded. I'm glad that you finally were able to kind of schedule this, So what I'd like to do now to close the podcast would be to go ahead and share any words of advice or inspiration for our listeners who are big fans of yours, and then also let people know what's the best way to reach you.
Advice on what?
Dance, live, music.
Wow. Okay. What can I say concerning life? I guess you have to follow your dreams. No, you don't have to. But, if you have dreams, yeah, you have to pursue them because no one is going to do that for you. But while pursuing your dreams, that's what I've learned is that, okay, it's okay to have a backup plan.
I hear you.
It's okay to have a backup plan, because not everyone, it doesn't happen overnight, to really to reach your goal. So while pursuing your dream, it's a good thing to have the backup plan working for you. And what else, the cliche stuff. But no, okay. But when it comes to music, yeah, I guess. And if you want to pursue something in like a career in music, I think you really gotta have to be 100% sure of it, before you do it. And once you do know that, yeah, you have to go all the way, Yeah, you really have to fight for your chance, because there are a lot of us. There are a lot of people that want it, and and not everyone will get it. So. You have to fight for your right to survive.
Yes.
Like Bob.
I hear. All right, and what's going to be the best way for people to follow you? I'll be sure to put some of those links in the show notes so that people can find your EP and your YouTube channel and things like that.
Okay, the best way to follow me is actually, through my official fan page, Facebook. It's Johnny Ramos Official. But actually, everything is official. Instagram is Johnny Ramos Official. YouTube, YouTube, it's called. I see here Johnny Ramos Official, but when you put it in your in the URL bar, it's youtube.com/C/Johnny Ramos.
Okay, for the Johnny Ramos channel. I got you.
Yeah, but if you Google it and you put Johnny Ramos Official, you'll get it.
It'll come up for sure.
Yeah, it will come up. And so be sure if you're interested in my music and in me, I'm working on stuff, and if you want to be one of the first to know, just follow me.
Yes, for sure. I'm pretty sure a lot of our listeners would be good to hear you, to hear your voice, and we're awesome to have some new music from you after 5 years. And we really look forward to the new album coming out. I'll be waiting for it a lot. All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Johnny. Thank you for checking out the Dance Your Heart on Fire podcast today. Be sure to check out neokizomba.com for links to everything that we chatted about today, as well as some awesome free resources to enhance your kizomba journey.
Johnny Ramos, DJ Polish Jr., and last but not least, Chita Pina, Just J.